Ninja JK, dupla, jinx, bota, chakra em cada linha de faca. Faz macramé no micado, paz, espadas por frases. Sintático, repara no que digo, é paradigmático. Não tenho paralelo, sou para lá de mágico. Sabes como rolo, martelo pneumático. Técnica secreta do monstro roxo. Estamos a meter-nos no dojo, estamos a manter comos no jogo. Só com uma espada nos tojos. Plano picado, não sabes de onde esta ave vem. Nenhum radar pode detectar onde está a nave, mãe, tu sabes bem. Somos a clique, somos o clã. É Monster Jinx cabrão, respeito ao vais comer tartan. Na terra do nunca não digo banzai. Vivo na espelunca e tenho um bonsai. Ninja que é ninja, ninja, frotas imperiais. E bate mal, logo bate mais. A minha crew não sem espelhos. Na rua, dragão azul, dragão vermelho. Sento o silêncio. Versus shinobi, nunca me canso. Sou de Nairobi, ágil como um ninja. Rápido como um ninja, letal como um ninja. Brutal como um ninja, fatal como um ninja. Forte como um ninja, secreto como um ninja. Devo mesmo ser um ninja.
Esta é para os meus ninjas, só para os meus ninjas. Onde é que estão os meus? Ninjas, 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 ninjas. Esta é para os meus ninjas, só para os meus ninjas. Onde é que estão os meus? Ninjas, 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 ninjas.
And a good afternoon, everyone out there, or actually early evening, and welcome to another episode of Top 5 Collaborations with the Westerosi Ninja and the Dawg Show, featuring our top 10 lists from a variety of different topics. I'm your host, the Westerosi Ninja, and joining me today, as usual, is the Dawg from the Dawg Show. So what's going on, Snoop Dogg? What's happening?
Oh, man, Mel, I'm so excited for tomorrow night. That's all I got on my mind right now. So great to be here as usual. And yeah, it's just perfect time to talk about last Sunday's episode leading into what I can't get my mind off of right now is our season 8 episode 3. I guess I don't know what it's going to be called. I'd imagine it'll be called probably something like the Endless Night or something, or the Long Night perhaps, or something, right? So but yeah, great to be here, and great to see the folks here in the chat as well. So
yeah, I mean, I totally agree with you. I think tomorrow night is going to be freaking epic. It's supposed to be about an 80-minute runtime, and evidently it's going to be like the longest battle scene ever filmed in cinematic history in movies and film. So could you guys imagine 80 minutes of just battle and combat in one show? I mean, that's freaking ridiculous, and it'll be hella awesome, definitely. And a lot of our favorite characters may not survive, obviously. So tonight, we will be going through our top 5 moments of episode 2, though, titled A Night of the Seven Kingdoms from last week. And it was a really great episode. I had a lot of fun, basically, picking through my favorite moments. And what do you think, Dog? Did you like the episode?
I really did. I enjoyed the episode, and there wasn't like a whole lot of. That's what I was before we started tonight. I was talking to Milton. I think this was the first episode that we stayed in the same location. I don't think they went to any other locations but Winterfell, right? But there wasn't a major battle, at the time, right? Of course, we're going to get one tomorrow night. So I was kind of curious if they would possibly like go to King's Landing or something like that, possibly during the episode. But to answer your question, yeah, I love this episode. A lot of and things of that nature to get us leading into what should be absolutely epic for tomorrow night. So I think the reason that they've had us waiting for so long is probably has a lot to do with this episode that's coming up tomorrow night. So looking forward to it.
Yeah. I mean, it was definitely a really good setup episode. Okay, probably one of the best setup episodes in the entire series. In fact, I don't even recall any any traditional setup episode than that what we saw last week. Can you?
I can't either, really. I mean, when you think of like Battle of the Bastards or something, it seems like that whole entire season was kind of we bring Jon Snow back, of course, right? But then Sansa comes in, and then they're just kind of, I think they even skip an episode where we don't even see those characters possibly through that, right? And it's kind of that whole season is kind of a slow build up to what's coming
Yeah.
with Battle of the Bastards, right? But no, nothing like this, right?
Yeah,
Nothing
and
like this.
the episodes before Watchers on the Wall, where the wildlings were attacking the wall. I mean, there wasn't like this kind of setup episode, and neither was there one in the Battle of Blackwater. I mean, you kind of had this thing building up throughout the season, whereas last week's episode, it was all set in one location, unlike any other preceding episode, before a big battle episode, and it was just basically discussions and people hanging out and talking, before they head on into basically their last hours of life. So it was really cool.
Right,
Got a
and
lot
if
out of
you'd
it.
never say you'd never watched the show before,
Mhm.
and like you just watch this particular episode, and you're like, I don't get it. Why do people love this so much, right? But it's all the years of build up to knowing these characters for so long, right? And then all these emotional scenes that we do get
Mhm.
through this entire episode that makes it a great episode that folks that might be outside of the Game of Thrones world wouldn't possibly understand. I think so.
Yeah.
I don't know if you agree with that, there, Milt.
Oh yeah. I mean, I definitely agree with that. And we got some people in the chat. I guess Fearless Mermaid says it's gonna be 82 minutes long, maybe. And Phantom D Saint, is correcting me, saying that it's not going to be 80 minutes of straight battle. He thinks it's going to be only 75 minutes tops of straight battle. So who knows? Who knows? Yeah. So I mean, maybe like the first 2 or 3 minutes of the episode would be them getting ready to go into battle. So yeah, I mean, 75 minutes is still a long freaking time of continual battle, though. So
Yeah, they'll need the extra 7 minutes to change uniforms, like to go from
Yeah.
the good guys to the whites or something.
Yeah, yeah, and basically, to turn the Animorph into a white, right? I mean, that at least would be worth at least 5 minutes of her turning into a white. So you guys are on the Westerosi Ninja channel. So what does that mean, dog? For the next slide.
Oh, that means we have some trivia, folks.
Yeah. So this is an expansion of what I showed in one of the earlier streams, and somebody asked last week, how did the viewership numbers do for episode 1 compared to previous seasons? And basically what I did is that I actually researched and looked up the US viewership numbers for the first 2 episodes of season 8. And the first episode, the premiere, was at about 11.8 million in the US. Okay, so that beat like the season 7 premiere by quite a bit. Okay, but it was still lower than the season 7 finale. Okay, by about like 300,000 viewers or 400,000 viewers. And then there was a big drop off in episode 2, right? So it went from 11.8 million in the premiere to about 10.3 million in episode 2. I mean, which is still higher than any other episode 2 episode in previous seasons. But I mean, it kind of just gives you an idea that, hey, we are on an uptrend, obviously. And yes, you always expect a big dip after the premiere episode. So it's really consistent with that big dip that you get after episode 1 in any kind of particular season. So what do you think about this, dog? Were you expecting higher numbers in the US?
I expected a little drop off for episode 2, just a hair, and I expect a big increase next week. Actually, I was looking. I remembered I mentioned this last week when we talked about this. I wanted to see that rate of gain from one season to the next one, because we talked about all the
Sure.
records that were broken. And I was
Sure.
like, I kind of expected some records, but was that rate of gain higher going into season 8 than it was going from season 6 to season 7? What do you think there, Mel?
Well, I obviously, if you just look at kind of like at the charts right now, between season 6 and season 7 is where you've actually had like the highest rate of gain, right? We went from 7.69 million average to 10.26 million average. I mean, that's 10. Gosh, I mean, what, 5%, 6%, 5% roughly. So I mean, it's pretty good. So and then I don't foresee the rate of gain to be that high between season 7 and season 8. Actually, at this point,
I think it's safe to say
yeah,
that they maximize their peak here. I think, because I think after it's over, right? It seems like it would have plateaued, possibly even started hopping down, maybe, right? So just kind of looking at it, just in that kind of state. It doesn't look like they're going to get as many. If they were to do another follow-up season, if you will, right? It seems like they did just what they needed to do.
Yeah, like from 2 to 3, right, like from seasons 1 to season 2, we had about 40% uptick, right? And then it went to about maybe 150% from season 1 to season 4, and then season 4 and 5 really kind of leveled off. Season 4 through 6 really kind of leveled off, where you didn't see much gain at all. You almost like hit saturation in a way. And then boom, from season 6 to season 7, you got like another one of these, big 30% upticks, right?
Absolutely.
In terms of average viewership numbers, roughly about 30%. So
right. I think we talked a lot about, because I think a lot of folks had issues with season 5, of course, right? But things picked up a little bit. Season 6, we had a really, I think season 7 overall was a pretty good season, right? Things looking good, and I think they maximize their profits.
Yep. All right. So that is the numbers for everybody out there, and I think we should get going on our top 5 lists. As usual, just same as last week, there are no honorable mentions on these lists, so we're going to kick off with the number 5 spot, and Dawg is the visiting team, so that means he gets to go first. And take it away, Dawg. What's your number 5?
All right, folks, and my number 5 moment here is we finally get a ghost sighting. So, and my factors with moments, folks, are things that could possibly affect the plot in some way, right? Or they just are some super meaningful thing of relevance, right? So there's a few factors, but one of them is that I think Ghost is obviously back, right, to fulfill some mission here in this battle, right, or something. He has some duty to fulfill, right? Is he going to survive? I hope he does survive, right? Now, my biggest concern here, right, is that we haven't seen Ghost in a long time, right? And Sam and John are bantering a little bit, right? And as soon as the scene starts, right, you see Ghost, right, and he's like looking at John, and he's like, "Hey, dude, I'm here, right?" And John just kind of looks at him, right, and then he just goes back talking to Sam, right? And then Ed walks up, and Ghost like looks at Ed, and Ed just like just swerves him, right? So he just swerves him, and then those guys go back to having their parlay, right? And Ghost is back there the whole time. And sometimes John even looks back, right? Yeah. And he like kind of looks at Ghost, right? But nobody says hi to Ghost, right? I mean, nobody at all. Right?
Sam was like the closest one to him, and Sam didn't even basically acknowledge his presence.
Right. And do you remember the time for Watchers on the Wall episode, right? Yeah. Season 4, episode 9, I believe, right? So John was like, "I need him more than I need you," and he was talking about Ghost versus Sam at the time, right? And this is the thanks that Ghost gets, right? He just gets to stand there like a ghost, if you will, right? So, but okay, now what's the big moment here though is that Ghost is definitely going to fulfill some sort of role in the next battle, right? I've got a feeling that he's going to possibly be the protection in the crypts, possibly, right? I think where Gilly and the baby are, and Varys and all those. And I've got a bad feeling about the dead folks in the crypts possibly being turned by the white, or turned into whites, and attacking the innocent in the crypts, right? But I think Ghost might be there to help, to give a hand, I hope, or a paw.
So do you think Ghost will end up being like Summer, protecting Davos?
I hope they don't do another repeat of that. I hope Ghost and Nymeria, get to be the 2 dire wolves that live. And I hope that Ghost gets a chance to grow. I mean, he's the run of the litter, right? However, he still is a dire wolf, right? Shouldn't he be, a little bit bigger, right? But hey, at least we saw Ghost. It was great to see Ghost. And I hope he survives this. I think he'll probably play a little different role than what Summer did, I think.
Yeah, and also, I mean, getting back to your point about the crypts and what can actually be reanimated, I really don't think anything can be reanimated there, because really they're just dust and bones right now, right?
That's a great point.
So, and also, it's never been actually confirmed or clarified as to, who will get reanimated. Could it be any dead person, or does it have to be a person that's actually killed by a white? By that magical means, right? I mean, like if I'm like in the Riverlands and I die of like the measles, right? Can I get reanimated? I don't know, because it's never been confirmed if any dead person can get reanimated. But all we've seen is basically people who have been killed by magical creatures like whites, right? Or by the Night King themselves gets reanimated. So
That's a great point.
So we really don't know anything about their whole reanimation thing. So anyway,
So
and
you
I
said
don't,
that,
and I really don't think it's gonna be end up like a Jason and the Argonauts thing, right? Where we get like a bunch of skeleton warriors. So
right?
let's be honest here, guys.
I used to have this thought that like the Night King would just be kind of waiting out
Yeah.
for all the dead at Battle of the Bastards or something, right? And he'd just come by and reanimate all those or something, right? But that's a great point. He probably has to have an effect in their death to reanimate them, possibly. So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and somebody mentioned the Fearless Mermaid, and I forgot to see. Did we have Bones reanimate in in the Three-Eyed Raven's cave? I forgot in that Hold the Door episode. I'm not sure we did, but
Were there bones in there?
yeah,
There are all kinds
evidently,
of bones
the
in
Fearless
there.
Mermaid saying that they did have Bones reanimate, and I wasn't quite sure whether or not there were bones or they were just dead whites.
I remember all the bones that were on the
Yeah.
ground, the skulls and stuff, but I don't remember them being reanimated
Yeah.
like in Jason and the Argonauts. Great
Yeah.
film, by the way. I
Yeah,
vividly
neither did
remember
I.
going to the
Yeah.
theater to see that.
Yeah, neither did I. Well, and then somebody's saying, Bubba Husky saying that outside Blood Raven's caves, there were like bones being reanimated. Yeah, but how did those bones die? Did they die fighting the whites 1,000 years ago? In that case, I can see something like that happening, right? Or did they die of natural means? And you guys are right? The skeleton that killed Georgian Reed was a reanimated skeleton, right? But how did that die, right? Did it die by whites 1,000 years ago, or did it die by natural means? Just saying. We don't really know.
I'm with you guys now.
Yeah, and if Phantom says I'm skipping his comment, I'm trying to remember. If there are bones, then they can be reanimated like the bones that attacked Brand and Company before going into the cave. Yeah, we just talked about that, Phantom, okay? We don't know how those bones got there. Were they basically killed by magical means via the whites, or were they just natural deaths? We don't know, okay? So anyway, just saying, part of me, the people in the crypts were definitely old Stark Kings, okay? Most of them probably died via natural means, whether by war, disease, or, or old age. Can they reanimate? I don't know. Nevertheless, a lot of them are old too, and they're probably dust and bones by now, okay? Or not many bones left in that dust. So anyway, let's go to my number five. Great pick, Dawg, but I wanted to comment on the Ghost right now really quick. I thought they really did a bad job on the CGI here of Ghost, because it almost looks like he was kind of like, merged into this scene from a clip from before, like some unshown clip that they did before, because all we saw Ghost doing was kind of like swaying back and forth like this, right? And he really looked two-dimensional, 2.5 dimensional to 2-dimensional, right? It didn't seem like there was a sense of, three-dimensionality to that wolf, right? We just saw him in one pose, and basically in that one kind of like side pose, and he's just swaying back and forth. So I don't really know whether or not there was actually any work done on Ghost in this episode, or not could have been an old clip.
I think it's kind of like if Obi-Wan were to come back
Yeah.
and tell, hey, Luke, you will go to the Dagobah system, right? And learn the ways of the Force and all this stuff, right? But, Luke just completely ignores Obi-Wan in this case, right? So, I see what you're saying there, Mel. That's a great point.
Yeah, I mean, especially when the fact that nobody's acknowledging him, right? It almost seems like he was just kind of put in after the scene was filmed. Goes, oh, look, guys, there's Ghost. Here's your fan service. Aren't we cool? Aren't we all glad to see him back? I mean, it was great to see him back, but, it just seemed really weird to see him just kind of swaying back and forth and basically just showing half his body for the entire scene. That's all. And there you go. So I'm already ripping on Dan and Dave. So my number 5 is None other than working the soup line, the scene with Davos, basically. And can you imagine this, like, a ex-Hand the King, because he's no longer Hand the King, right? Because we don't know what Jon is right now, but a high-ranking counselor, right, of basically the Warden of the North, right, working the soup line. How cool is that, right? It's basically Davos going back into his roots, right, helping the poor, and the hungry and the disheveled, evidently. And he's talking to that one guy. I survived the Battle of the Bastards, and then I'm thinking in my mind, his luck is about to run out. You know what I mean? He survived all these wars, Blackwater, the Battle of the Bastards, Battle of the Bastards. His days are friggin' numbered, I think. And of course, we get the appearance of Shireen 2.0 here, right? The little girl with the grayscale, and I don't know if this is cliche. I mean, I don't know what I'm supposed to make of this, other than the fact that it's just one of these moments of coincidence that makes Davos just look really sympathetic and look really worried, and I have no idea what that's all about. and lastly, in the host scene, we also have our first appearance of Gilly in this season, and what can I say about Gilly, right? I mean, I don't think she feels really safe having that girl protect them in the crypts. But that's just me, though. So, what do you think, Dawg, about this? Great scene, though. It's well shot. It showed Davos being Davos. Like the good guy, the really good guy, in this whole mess. But
it's Davos serving you up a bowl of brown, right? If you're going to get a bowl of brown, your first bowl of brown, you have the Onion Knight serve it up to you, right? I mean, that would be absolutely epic, right? So, I mean, this is an awesome scene, very emotional scene too. When we see the scar on the girl's faces, we can definitely tell that Davos is thinking of Shireen, right? Mm-hmm. And also back, I don't know if this was prior to, I think right prior to that, there was another guy. He was like a soldier or something. He was like, I'm not a soldier or something, right? But Davos is kind of telling him, look, I survived this and that, we can come out of this, right? So I'm wondering, I think that guy might be an important red shirt. We're probably going to see that guy again, right? But kind of in a red shirt role, if you will, right? The guy that was like, Davos said, hey, the weapons are at the forge over here, right? So, but that's if you're going to get your first bowl of brown, why not have Davos, the Onion Knight, Seaworth, serve it up to you? This is a fantastic scene here too. And I was just chuckling at what Gilly's really thinking. I'm thinking back to my youth of when I used to read Mad Magazine, Mad Magazine and stuff, right? And they would, they do like, the little scripts or whatever where they'd, what are they really saying or something, right? Mm-hmm. Careful, your plate's too hot, right? Eat fast, the food isn't, right? So, but that's what she's really thinking here. I'd feel safer with Janos Slint.
Exactly. That's what I'm thinking she's thinking.
Perfect, Mel. I was chuckling over that. So fantastic scene here.
Yeah. And the whole Davos thing, working the soup line reminds me of a local politician here, in Houston, where right before election time, guess what he does, right? He goes downtown into the soup kitchens and basically hands out food. So it's like, it's almost like the same thing here, where you have a high-ranking, political politician doing the same thing. But I understand, we're not supposed to be cynical about this whole thing, and it basically just shows Davos' goodness and his humanity. I totally get it. But, what a coincidence, though, with Shireen 2.0, right? So anyway. And hopefully he lives. That's all I'm going to say. But I think
absolutely. Yeah, I'm going to be heartbroken if Davos goes.
Great. So let's go into our number 4 spot, okay? And Dawg, take it away.
All right. So, and this goes, I'm titling this one Tyrion Songwriter, folks. So if you folks have followed us through these collaborations, right? You I think I made a prediction where Tyrion was going to be the songwriter, right? Mm-hmm. And I think this scene gives even more proof that by the end of this, Tyrion Lannister will be the one that writes the song of Ice and Fire, right? So, or whatever the story is, right? I think it's going to be a song, of course, right? So, but we had a war council, where folks are worried about stuff and all that stuff's kind of going on, right? But now Bran also answered a question that I had a question a long time ago that I used to kind of not have an argument with folks, but I would think that I always assumed that once he got marked, right, and as soon as the Night King passed the ward.
Mm-hmm.
In that old tree, right? That mark basically vanished at that point, right? That magic was kind of over with, right? He wasn't going to be just constantly marked, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that answered my question. Bran is still obviously marked, right? So, but now to get to my point here, also to lead back into this real quickly is that they talk about what does the Night King want, right? And this also is another theory, or not a theory, right? But this is what I always thought the Night King was there for, right? He wants to cover the world in winter and death, right? And Bran says he wants to cover the world in darkness or something, right? And end the world, erase the world. And Sam, now this is what's got me worried, though. I'm worried about Sam now, folks. I'm really worried about Sam now, because just the way he said, if I wanted to, end the world, I'd start with you. Okay. But now after this is all over with, right, and Sam goes away, now we have Tyrion come up and say, you've had a strange journey. This is a quick, maybe 2 lines, right? Maybe 2 or 3 lines here. And he's like, stranger than most. And he's like, I'd like to hear about this, right? And he pulls up his chair, and I was glad he didn't like pull it screechingly like he did, at the old council, right, in King's Landing. But that would have been kind of funny, right? But he, pulls his chair over, and he's like, I'd like to hear about it. And he's like, it's a long story. And he's like, if we were only trapped in a castle with nowhere to go, right? Mm-hmm. And Bran's telling him, I think that's what happened in there. Bran basically told him his journey since Theon had taken over Winterfell and what led him back to where they are now, right? So Tyrion's got all that information that that Sam might not have right now, right? So, and I'm kind of worried about Sam and possibly Bran now too.
Yep. And worst kept secret in the show. I mean, in that 2-minute conversation with Tyrion and Bran, something from that conversation is going to come back, right, later on in the season. Because, I'm thinking Tyrion's going to survive, and he's going to use some of that knowledge for something, whether or not it's to basically betray Dany or whatever, or, defeat the Night King or whatever, or use it for his, to overthrow Cersei. We don't know, but obviously something from that conversation is going to come up in later on the season. Yeah, but this is a great scene. I love the war console and everything else, which I'll get into later. But it was good seeing everybody around, strategizing, and
right.
What can we say? There was some acts of pure nobility by one there was an act of pure nobility by one person in this table that I will get to later, actually. Yeah. So great. So great choice. And Tyrion and Bran's conversation. Yeah, this is one of the most important scenes in the whole season. I think is going to happen here. So number 4 for me is none other than the Kraken returns. And to me, this moment of basically Theon Greyjoy coming back to Winterfell after everything he did, right, in terms of betraying the Starks back in season 2, was just awesome. And, Sansa, I have to give her credit here. The character itself, the way Sophie Turner played it, she gave off so much more emotion than in her reunion with Jon Snow back in season 6. Wouldn't you agree? This was really emotional. I was kind of like holding back a little bit because, you can just see, like, how happy she was to actually see Theon, especially after everything that they went through, right? With the whole Ramsay Bolton experience that they two shared and basically escaping him. And, it was great. And you can also see in this scene kind of like what's happening with Daenerys too, is like, these two really care about each other and they really love each other, and she's mad because, even though Theon and Yara swore fealty to Daenerys back in Essos, really, I think she's realizing that the true loyalties are with Sansa Stark and the people in the North and the Starks themselves. It's not with Daenerys. I mean, it's like almost like her whole world is coming apart here in this episode, where you have all these people basically, she thinks that all these people are basically defecting from her side and basically, banding together to fight the real war. But in her mind, the real war is still her taking the throne. And she doesn't quite understand it. She doesn't quite get it yet. So I love this scene. Great emotional moment. Kind of a tearjerker, but I thought it was well done and awesome. Take it away, Dawg. What do you think?
Oh, yeah, this is outstanding. And the scene that was right prior to this was Dany and Sansa having their parlay, right? But how that had ended, it didn't end quite the way Dany had hoped, or possibly what Jorah had hoped for either, right? But maybe it did end the way it was supposed to, right? Because as upset as those two were kind of at each other, right? Dany saw the compassion, yes, she showed even more. I will concede to that. She shows more emotion with Theon than she did with Jon. Yeah. And that one, I couldn't hold back on that one at the time. So I'm an old softie. But Dany witnesses this, right? And this is one of Dany's allies, right? Yeah. And if Sansa can show that kind of compassion for one of Dany's allies, right? She can see that they're going to be on the same side, right? They're going to be buddies here, right? I think that's going to be key. This also answered a question of mine too, that I think in episode 1, right, when Bran, we talked about this last week, of course, right, but when he said, "I'm waiting for an old friend," I was thinking it's probably Jaime, because it was in that episode, right? So he's probably referring to Jaime, which I'll get to even a little bit later here, right? But I was thinking it might possibly be Theon as well, right? He was waiting for an old friend, but it wasn't. It was Sansa, seeing Theon. Now, what also I think made Sansa also so emotional, not only, the ties with Theon, but think about, okay, the Glovers, even though that's like a little thing they kind of throw in there, right? Yeah. But they've turned her down, right? But now here's a person that took over this castle, right? That's basically shunned by the Northmen and everybody there, right? But yet he's coming back to defend this castle, right? So I mean, I think that's another big emotional thing that grips Sansa here as well, right? Everybody's kind of turning their back. Not everybody, of course, right? But like the Glovers, for instance, right? And but now look at Theon Greyjoy's come back, right? Yeah. Wish he'd have brought a few more folks with him though to keep my other prediction, but it didn't work out.
Yeah, and great points. And Phantom D. Saint actually says something here. Goes, he wrote, if only Dany knew the relationship between Theon and the Starks. One of the problems are people just don't talk. So, and Phantom, and I kind of disagree with that. I think a lot of talk is done off screen. I think people do kind of know what happens, okay, but there's not enough time to film all these scenes of people basically, gossiping or talking about, history, with each other. So I'm pretty sure that, Dany knows about this, and it's just one of those things. So I don't know, but if she didn't know, then I don't think it matters anymore, because she has no control over the people at Winterfell. I mean, it's Sansa and Jon; they have the real control. So I mean, Dany's still in her own little world, trying to basically, take the Iron Throne and not really caring that much about the war against the others. But everybody else in the whole damn castle is banding together, and basically, and to fight, the real war, which is against the Night King.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because I wrote down something I want to talk to you about on one of my later slides that I asked you. But that's a great point you made. Yeah, there's definitely some things that happen off screen that we need to take in that could possibly happen, right? So.
Yeah, and who's to say that people don't know? You make up another point, fan, about Arya being a faceless person, but you don't want to tell people that Arya is a faceless person, okay? That's a secret that nobody wants to know about, okay? Whereas a lot of people knew that Theon did betray the Starks and take over Winterfell, okay? I mean, that's public knowledge in a way. I mean, right? I mean, he basically killed a lot of the Stark villagers and people in the people in the castle, right? Word gets out really quick. So I think they're two completely different things here in terms of, a secret about being a faceless man versus basically, a historical event that Theon basically betrayed the Starks and killed, and took over Winterfell. Completely different things altogether. So let's go with your number 3 now, Dawg. And what is it?
Oh, wow. I was so into that scene. I thought it was my own, buddy. But yeah, my number 3 here is, and I titled this one "Old Friends" because the scene prior to definitely confirmed that the friend that Bran was talking about was indeed Jaime Lannister here, right? So we had a awesome scene of in the beginning of the episode, kind of leading into this, right, where Bran mentions, the things we do for love, right? The line that that Jaime said to Bran prior to pushing him out the window, of course, right? So, but now we had a couple of scenes after the trial, right, and they decide to let Jaime be part of the group or whatever, right? But we had a couple scenes in between here, but then we go to the Godswood, and we see Bran, and right away our I was actually kind of surprised that it was Jaime Lannister there in the Godswood right away. But yeah, that was kind of cool. It was like, yeah, he came up and confronted his past, tried to make amends. And even though Bran did call him out and was like, hey, look, you weren't sorry then, but had you not, and this was things that from this community has been talking about for ages now, right? What's going to happen when Jaime and Bran meet? How's that discussion going to go, right? Is Bran going to be upset with him, right? How's Jaime going to be, with this, right? And we, our aunt, and a lot of things that the folks were saying in the community, pretty much, came true, right? If Jaime doesn't push him out that window, he doesn't become the three-eyed raven, right? And, which, if he doesn't become the three-eyed raven, then, we'll see, right? But, but that's basically where Bran's coming from, right? Basically he's telling him, you lost your hand, right? You lost, I lost the use of my legs. I can't climb anymore. Basically, you lost the use of your hand, but it changed you inside, right? You made an oath to protect my family and my siblings, and you're here to protect us now, right? So, but now the main thing, though, out of all this sappiness, in the beginning of this, right? But the main thing I want to get to is that Jaime's like, why didn't you tell them, right? And he's like, if I let my family murder you, you wouldn't be able to help us, right? And he goes, well, what happens afterward? And Bran kind of trolls him here, right? And he goes, well, how do you know there's an afterwards, right? Yeah. But I think he's telling him he's right, but he's kind of like trolling him. He's trolling him, going, he's using those words, but the way he's using those words, kind of making it sound like there is none. But he's like, hey, how do you know there is one, right? He's if you look at the words verbatim, Jaime knows there's an afterward, right? So, but the way he does say it sounds like there isn't one, right? But that was the main point I wanted to get to this, is that I believe that Jaime is going to make it through this battle. I'm concerned for somebody else that I'll get to later.
So do you, I thought that was a great line too, because it shows Jaime still worrying about, hey, are you gonna snitch on me, Bran, and that kind of stuff, because Bran didn't snitch on. Bran had his chance to snitch on him, in his quote unquote trial, right, earlier on in the episode, and Bran understands that there are a lot more important things to worry about, right, and you need all the men that you can get, in this fight, but Jaime is still, basically still worried about it, right, because he doesn't want the word to get out at all about what happened. And the way that Bran said the whole thing about, how you know that there is no afterward, how you know that there is isn't afterwards, to me means, it's kind of almost like Bran thinks or kind of knows that Jaime is going to die, right? There won't be an afterwards for Jaime.
Right. The way he says it. Yeah. It sounds like he knows that there isn't an afterward, right?
Yeah.
However, if you just looked at those words in context, and I'm thinking he's trolling him a bit. And I think there is actually And I think those words are true. And Jamie knows that there actually is an afterwards, and he's going to make it through. I think he's going to make it through this battle anyway. Just this battle anyway.
Yeah, great. Yeah, I mean, great scene though. I mean, I love the the production set here, right? I mean, you have all the snow, all the leaves on the ground, the heart tree and everything like that. But yeah, I guess somebody made a point. I think it was the Fearless Mermaid made a point. Isn't there supposed to be a pool of water somewhere around, where Bran's future is? And it's possible that the pool of water just basically froze over and is covered by a layer of snow, right, Dog? Is that a possibility here?
Ooh, that's a great idea. Yeah, that's that just kind of camouflage it, and then when they try to run up to him, and that just fall in.
Yeah, but I mean, could it be just iced over?
Or it could be that too as well.
Covered by dusting of snow. Yeah. So anyway, I mean, it's one of those things. I mean, it's great, and it's a good scene, and very pretty for sure. Those red leaves, maple leaves. But anyway, let's go.
I don't know if they'd be up for that long of a winter though, but
yeah.
Well, I guess it's magic tree basically, right? So.
Yeah. They live forever. So
all right, yeah.
So let's go from my number 3 is sharing a drink, right? It's a night at the pub with guess who? The dynamic duo, or they're back together again, right? You got the Hound and Arya. Just like, it just reminds me of the scenes in seasons 3 and 4, we're basically just kind of trolling around, the Riverlands, it's kind of camping out together, eating together, sharing drinks together, especially after the fight, at the end, and, they're just having a great time. And boom, all of a sudden, I mean, it was wonderful. I mean, they were just, remaining silent. And then, Arya's asking him, hey, what are you doing here? You never fought for anybody in your life except for yourself. And then the Hound just basically, puts in the dagger, right? Goes, I fought for you. I thought that was just so awesome. And then Arya just had like this blank look on her face, right? And then she goes back to drinking off the flask, right? So, and all of a sudden, to break up this whole, break this whole great scene up, in comes the third wheel, right? Basically, Beric Dondarrion. And here's my theory, okay? And it's not a theory, okay? It's usually speculations and hypotheses. No such thing as theories. Okay, but here's my speculation what's going to happen. This is a foreshadowing that Beric Dondarrion is basically going to resurrect either the Hound or Arya Stark next episode, okay? The Hound, because evidently he's destined to do greater things, okay? Arya Stark, because I think they're going to pay some lip service to the fans, and she might die and get resurrected by Beric and become the new Lady Stoneheart, people, that Jon will kill at the end. So there you guys have it. My speculation, my wild speculation for tonight. Anyway, great scene. I loved it. Finally, they're back together. Take it away, Dog. What's happening?
I loved it too, because I forgot what the scene was right prior to it, because we had a lot of just great emotional scenes, right? And then it was just like, and then they give us the Hound like the cherry on the ice cream there, right? So, but he's sitting there, right, and then she walks up, and and he's like, okay, gives her the flask, and then that was just great how he's like, man, you never used to shut up. Now you just sit there like a damn mute, right? Yeah. But I think this is leading into they're going to team up again. This is going to be a foreshadowing. This is an important scene because this is going down. They're going to team up again. I am in, like you've mentioned this. We talked a little bit prior to this, but I'm on board right now with your Beric prediction there of bringing back. But I think it's going to be the Hound he's going to bring back here. I do like the way you're thinking. Bring back Arya, have her do the Stoneheart. Yeah, but I think that Hound is going to be playing the Beric role by the time it's all said and done, or he'll be the Thoros, right? He'll be the Thoros, and Arya will be like the new Beric or something, right? But I think when this is all said and done, the Hound will be the priest, the Red Priest or something. I don't know necessarily a Red Priest, but. He'll be, he'll be like the leader of the Brotherhood Without Banners. Yeah, that's kind of what I was trying to get to.
Yeah, and I mean, and the thing is, I mean, we haven't seen these two together since like season 4, right? like in the same kind of like, sitting down like this, sharing a scene like this, so, and it just shows you like how much chemistry that these two actors have, and they still have right now. The way they're just interacting with one another. I mean, it's perfect. I love it. So it's great to see the Hound and Arya. So
and then it was great when I think Beric come back when he sat down, and but yeah, just the little details inside there was just leading me to believe that Milt's got a point here with this, right? I think if something goes wrong and Beric goes down, I think and Hound's going to fill his shoes basically. So awesome.
It's too bad Beric had to ruin the whole scene, but hey, what do you have? So okay, so anyway, you know what time it is right now, Dog?
Hammer time or trivia time?
No, it is wheel time. It's prediction times for episode 3, and out pops the wheel. Everybody, just basically getting my investment back for doing all this work, making all these crazy wheels. So, what we're going to talk about today is basically episode 3 predictions. And Dog, okay, do you have any kind of questions you want to ask the wheel that can be answered with, basically can be answered with an answer that is a character? So.
Okay. And it doesn't matter if they live or die in this battle.
Nope.
Right. Who is the most valuable player in this battle and that we're going to see Sunday night? Who's the most valuable player?
Okay, a survivor or a non-survivor?
It doesn't matter. They can be a survivor or dead.
Okay. So basically, Dog's asking who is the MVP of the Battle of
We're handing out the MVP to the Super Bowl award here tonight. Wheel, tell us who the MVP of the Battle of Death is.
All right.
Is that what this is called, the Battle of Death?
Yep. And here we go. No, I mean, really, I would like to call it like the Battle for the Dawn at Winterfell, because it harkens back to the old days. But the show doesn't do that. So, Battle of Winterfell, and who will be the MVP? Let's spin it and figure it out.
And you can't argue. The wheel has no bias,
has no bias, no emotions, and no political agenda whatsoever. It's heartless, and it never gets depressed. So tell me when to stop, Dog.
Oh, stop.
Oh, shit.
Oh, shit, stop.
And here we go. Jon is going to be the most valuable player. Well, isn't that obvious? See, the wheel knows all. I'm telling you, the wheel knows all. Of course Jon is going to be an MVP.
The wheel
right.
beat.
Okay, so I have one question, okay? And this question is who will be the last person to die in the Battle of Winterfell? Who will be the last person to die? So, and let's do it here. And I'll stop it right now. The last person to die is Bran. There you go. That makes perfect sense too.
These are good.
Yeah, I mean, can you imagine the last scene? The Night King swoops down to the God's Wood, kills off Theon and the rest of the Ironborn, and basically takes Bran out, and boom, cutscene to darkness.
Right, and like I said earlier, Bran told Tyrion his story, so that's kind of covered there too, and that was kind of leading me to believe that it gave me concern for Bran's survival, if you will. Those 2 or 3 lines between him and Bran, with Bran and Tyrion, right? Just those few lines just really drew concern for Bran's survival for me.
All right. Yeah.
Great job, Wheel.
Yeah. The Wheel did a really good job here. So Jon for the MVP and Bran for the last person to die during the Battle of Winterfell. I'll tell you what, guys, in the chat, the first person that gives me a question, writes down a question in the chat, starting right now, I'll spin a wheel. So come on, guys.
Wheel question for Sunday night.
It's an interactive stream here.
Absolutely. What's happening, gang, in the chat? I see you in there. Thanks for being here tonight.
Yeah, thanks a lot. All right, so Peter Griffin says first.
It's got to be a who question.
Yeah, so Robrienne doesn't do it. First kill is too vague, guys. So
like, who will kill Brienne? That would possibly.
Okay. So the Fairest Mermaid has a question.
Oh, here we go.
Question.
Yep.
What character will kill the first White Walker? Okay, we're not talking about whites. We're talking about White Walkers. Okay, so let's see who that will be.
That is a fantastic question.
Yep, great question. And let's take a look. What character will kill the first White Walker? And the answer is Missandei. All right, and it's still spinning, still making noises, but Missandei is going to kill the first White Walker. I don't know about that, Wheel. I think you're trolling us at this point.
How close that is to John, though?
Yeah. So I guess the Wheel doesn't like that question at all. So anyway, sorry about that. So it looks like Missandei is going to be the first person to kill the White Walker. That doesn't make sense. But MVP and the first and last person to die, total solid choices. John and Bran. So, all right. So, Dawg, number 2 moment right now.
Oh, absolutely. Yep. And my number 2 moment here, folks, is the knighting of Ser Brienne of Tarth. I think, again, this is my number 2 moment again, right? Moments to me are things that are important to the story and overall things, a lot of different factors into moment, right? But might be my favorite scene in the episode, though, right? I think was this overall, pardon me, Mountain Dew. I think this might have been my favorite overall scene in the episode, though, as well, right? So at first we see Jaime and Tyrion are talking a little bit, right? And then the group kind of comes in. They start kind of forming up. Tormund is absolutely hilarious, right? But to get to my main point here is that Tyrion, I think this is the first time he's actually ever spoken to Brienne of Tarth, possibly, right? I can't think of, because Tyrion just got to Winterfell, right? He's never met, I don't think he's ever met Brienne or talked to her.
Yeah, I mean, he might have seen her, talk to her off screen during like Joffrey's and Marjorie's wedding. They're both there.
Yeah, that's possible. Yeah, I'm trying to think.
We never had a scene of them talking, obviously.
Yep, you're right. Yeah. So, but yeah, now he like kind of he's like Ser Brienne of Tarth defeated the Hound, right? And he's like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm Lady Brienne, right? And then Tormund's like, you're not the knight, you're not a sir, and she's like, no, and he's like, why? And he's like, tradition. He's like, well, F tradition, right? And so Tormund gets this thing going, right? And Jaime's like, you know what? F tradition, or whatever. A knight can knight a knight, right? It doesn't have to be a king or whoever else, right? The maester or whoever, right? I don't know, right? So, but a knight can knight a knight, which makes sense, right? A knight is somebody that's supposed to be from the lineage of truth and justice and the stuff that Superman does, right? So. But now Jaime's like, hey, Neil, Brienne of Tarth, right? And she's like, got this look on her face, like she scoffs at first, right? She's like, you're joking. You're just going to make fun of me like you've done before, or like everybody's done in my entire life. And now you're being really mean because this is the one thing that she's probably wanted her entire life. Out of everything that she's ever wanted happens in this castle in Winterfell, right? Like if she does survive, which I do hope she does survive, right? But I have a bad feeling about Brienne of Tarth, folks. I really do. I think Jaime's going to make it, and I've got a bad feeling about Brienne. But if she does make it, she is forever going to remember Winterfell just because it's the place that her dream came true, right? I mean, seriously, she won the Super Bowl. This is her Super Bowl. She won it here, right? And so he's like, I'm serious, right? Now, what's also important about this is that, and this also happened when Sansa took her in, right, and made the oath with her before, is that she looks at Podrick, right? Now, she kind of throws, she'll show that she's not so proud of Podrick at times, right? Like she did prior to this scene with Jaime in the courtyard, right? But she's proud as all hell of Podrick, right? You can tell she's just like, she's really proud of him, right? But she still confides in him from time, right? She looks at him, he gives her the nod, and then she goes up, and we're all just in tears and everything for Brienne of Tarth getting to fulfill her dream here, right? I charge, in the name of the Father, I charge you to be brave. In the name of the Mother, I charge you to be, to protect the innocent, right? I know I'm screwing it because I'm getting.
No, okay. It's the name of the warrior. I charge you to be brave. The name of the Father, I charge you to be just. In the Mother, I charge you to defend the innocent. It was a trivia question last night or 2 nights ago.
I was getting a little emotional.
Anyway, and knights can knight people because Sir Arthur Dayne knighted Jaime Lannister. So, and he was no lord or king, just a Kingsguard. So, definitely. And I think this is a great scene because Brienne was with all her friends, people that she cares about and respects. Okay, even Tormund, right? So, and it was nice to basically see her smiling and actually full of joy, and everybody's applauding her. And but I'm definitely with you, Dawg. I think this is kind of bad foreshadowing for Brienne because she's pretty much now accomplished everything that she wanted to do in life, right? Besides marry Jaime Lannister. So, she.
Yeah, I might have been wrong, but I think this was her Super Bowl MVP moment for her. I'm going to Disney World.
So, she's fulfilled everything.
What's that, Mel?
Nothing. Go ahead, Dawg.
Okay. Oh, the only other thing I found that's really cool about this scene also, I know I mentioned how, the location was really, cool for her to always remember Winterfell, but the most probably what they would possibly consider the most dishonorable night, right? And, amongst the North folks, right? This man was just on trial, possibly going to be eaten by a dragon, right? Mm-hmm. And he's the one that knights possibly the most honorable knight in the castle.
Sure.
I mean, that's just kind of. I think that's kind of that's kind of cool, right? So, but yeah, Tormund's happy as hell, and then Tyrion saying, announcing her also was just really cool. So a great scene.
So Dawg. So how cliche would this be if Brienne and Podrick are fighting? Brienne sees Podrick fall, and while Podrick's dying, Brienne then knights him. Would that be cliche? Would that be sad? What would it be?
I don't know if we can go through all the pomp and circumstances at that point, right? But I think that would be a little cliche, Mel. I'm afraid battle like that, right?
Yeah. So sorry, Pod fans.
To do this, to do that, really? Okay, so.
All right. So
I want to say quickly. I think my man, the Hound, right, he's going to make it through eventually, right? But he's going to get a little bigger ceremony, possibly, and he might get knighted by, from Jon or Sansa or somebody.
Okay.
The Hound's going to have his day. He's going to get to be a knight at some point.
But great scene, Dawg. I mean, I'm great pick for number 2. I think this is one of the best scenes in the episode. My number 2 is. What the hell does the Night King want? Okay, and I think that was answered. Okay, basically, in the same scene, with during the war strategy meeting, right? Basically, the Night King, according to Bran, wants an endless night. He wants to erase the world, and I'm its memory. Problem is that we know what he wants, but yet there's still a question: why does he want this? And I still haven't gotten an answer yet. So we know what he's trying to accomplish, but there's still a question about his motivation. And I mean, is he just some mindless automaton that, he basically, was basically just ordered to kill, and basically that's what he's doing right now? I mean, I think there needs to be more than that going on here, the Night King. Okay, there needs to be a reason why he wants to erase, the world as it is right now. And but anyway, it's a great start to basically getting into the Night King's psyche a bit here, right? I mean, now we know what he's trying to accomplish. At least then, hopefully, we might get an answer as to why he's trying to accomplish this thing. And but besides the part about Bran revealing what the Night King wants, we also had a great moment of nobility here with Theon Greyjoy, right? It's part of his. I mean, this is pretty much ends his redemption arc right now, right? What he's gonna do, right? He basically volunteers to be the guy protecting Bran, who's going to be the Bran bait in the Godswoods, during the whole entire battle. And that's not a very safe job, right? To be guarding the bait, right? That is not a great job to be. But yet, Theon, you go, Theon, because, you volunteered, and that was really, really noble of you. And he had a great reason, right? It's because, I captured Winterfell from you, Bran. All those many years ago. So, I thought this whole scene was great, and it just, I hope we get more of the Night King here, but really well acted. And also, why the hell is the Mormont sign, like inside the Winterfell's walls? Right, you see the Mormont bear in the left-hand side of the picture? Isn't she supposed to be going out and fighting? So why do we have a Mormont bear in the middle of the castle? Just saying. So
is that where they're going to be, Luke? Is that like their position?
Yeah, I mean, so is the little bear going to be protecting the people in the crypts? Is that the whole idea?
I'm guessing,
Her and Sister Men? Yeah. But in the scene afterwards, we see like Lyanna Mormont just like, in full armor, with her men, just kind of like go, ready to go out and fight and meet the White Walkers.
Yeah, maybe she's just waiting for the Night King to come in so she can just tell him that he didn't answer the call before.
You mean like browbeat the Night King?
Yeah. He'll hold his head in shame.
Yeah. So anyway, great scene, and I loved it. What do you think, Dawg?
Oh yeah, this is a fantastic scene, and just like you said, this was probably the most noble act was Theon here right now. This is gonna fulfill his arc perfectly here. If he does, whether he loses his life or whether he survives, right? He did his duty, right? We got the Theon Greyjoy that he should have been, right? The honorable Theon Greyjoy, the real pirate king, if you will, right? So, I hope Theon kind of makes it now, but I have my doubts, of course, here, right? Mm-hmm. But all in all, fantastic scene with because we had like pretty much everybody in there, right? We had Jaime and Jon also had a little. It's kind of cool to see these other characters that we hadn't really seen interact before, or just maybe bits and pieces from season 1 or something, right? To see them in the same room, kind of interacting on the same team a little bit, right? So, great scene here, Mo.
Yeah. And,
to get back to the point here of what does the Night King want, right? Mm-hmm. And this is what I always thought. He was just like. He was the Sauron of this story, right? Mm-hmm. Sauron wanted to cover the world in darkness, right? Yeah. But this guy, I just always thought he just wanted to cover the world in ice and death, right? But it was just a different form of Sauron, right? Okay. However, when we saw the episode of how he was made, and now I was thinking, okay, well he's now we can see he's half like what Ultron is, and like say the Marvel comics or in the MCU, right? He's kind of like a half Ultron, but like Sauron also, right? Because now he was created to protect, right? Like Ultron was created to protect, right? However, he figured that, you know what? I'll just wipe out all this fighting, right? I'll wipe out everything, and then just and then it'll be perfect, right? So that's kind of like his thing, right? I'll just wipe everybody out and let God kind of sort them out, right? So, but yeah, I think he wants to cover the world in darkness and death. And when the Children of the Forest created him, it just kind of rewired his programming to instead of in order to defeat war, I'm going to end war by with this great war, if you will, right? I know that was a lot of goofiness and silliness there.
And maybe he is like Ultron in the sense that, he went berserk, and basically killed his masters too, right? He killed off the children of the forest as well. And,
Yeah.
perhaps, he was programmed to erase humans, but he decided to erase everybody. So, and maybe that's the motivation. He's like a mindless automaton or a mindless robot. Anyway, Phantom D. Saint's on a roll tonight. He's saying that Monkey D. Luffy is the true Pirate King. Do you know who Monkey D. Luffy is?
Monkey D. Luffy?
Yeah.
That's the Pirate King, really?
see, I have no idea. I mean, it must be a Disney reference, so I wouldn't know. So,
I wonder what the D is for. Is that like the D in Phantom D?
I know.
What if they have the same D name?
You mean Fandom Duffy? No, Fandom D Luffy Saint. Anyway. All right, it's not Disney. I still don't know it. Okay. All right, so you're number one, dog. We're down to our number one.
Yes, and the most important moment here, folks, to me, and I mentioned earlier that I wrote down something I wanted to ask Mill later, but the heir to the throne, I'm entitling this one, right? So this is where John finally, as he was kind of, I think earlier in the episode, Sam was kind of getting on him about, hey, are you going to tell her? Are you going to tell her? Are you going to tell her, right? At least he wasn't asking him about girls again, right? But Sam was kind of getting on him, right? But John's looking at his mother, right? At the shrine of his mother, of course, right? And Dany comes in, and she asks, who is this in front of him? And he's like, that's Lyanna Stark. And he's like, well, my brother Rhaegar, they always said he was kind. He gave to the poor. He was a saint, right? They called him Saint Targaryen, if you will, right? He sang, and stuff like that, right? And people liked him, right? And he didn't do all, I can't believe he did those horrible things, right? And then John's like, well, he didn't, but now this is the first time that I know, right? And, maybe unless there's something else off screen here, but this is the first time that John has let it known to Dany, of course, right? But I think it's the first time he's let anybody else know about, the true heritage to the true heir to the throne, right? So, I wrote this down because I'm like, do you think Sansa possibly knows, or is she going to be upset that he told Dany first and didn't tell Sansa first?
I don't think Sansa knows at this point, and at this point, I think Sansa is probably a little bit more focused than Daenerys. She doesn't care about the throne; she cares about she's surviving.
Right in the north, yeah. Right. Now, let's say all these folks do survive, possibly, right? If they do survive, and Sansa then finds out, I think it's going to be really interesting. I just think that point might be interesting that, that John not telling Sansa that information first might come into play, possibly. But it's going to be either way. It's going to be interesting when Sansa finds out about this, right? But now, what's also important here is that you can tell that John. Once he tells her, my real name is Aegon Targaryen, right? 6 to my name or whatever, right? Or however that works, right? And now she's just like, ugh, right? And I was thinking it was because it's that's her nephew, right? And I was thinking it was ugh, but no, it had nothing to do with that, right? She was he is now the true heir to the kingdom, right? And she's a little upset about that right now, right? And but now back to my point is that folks think that Jon Snow or Aegon Targaryen, if you will, right? He is gonna go for this claim, and the line that he tells her, it's the truth, Dany. Jon Snow has always been behind truth and honor, pretty much. I think he's pretty much the symbolism of honor, truth, if you will, right? Trying to be like Ned Stark, right? Has he done it perfectly at times? Possibly not, right? But for the most part, he is on the side of truth, right? And if the truth is that he is the heir to the Iron Throne, he's probably going to go for the truth, right? Probably going to tell the truth eventually here, right?
Yeah, I mean, he'll pull a Ned Stark and say that I am the heir, so I'm gonna fight for it.
and not because he wants it, because it is the truth,
Yeah.
and he is the most honorable,
Mm-hmm.
probably the most righteous king, if you will, right? That would
Mm-hmm.
that sit on the Iron Throne. But she's upset,
Mm-hmm.
and then now when they walked outside, Milt,
Mm-hmm.
and he gave her the nod, like the battle. Are you ready for battle? Nod, right? Are
Mm-hmm.
you ready to mount the dragons and let's go rock and roll, right? Oh, she's got that. I'm gonna cast your head into the sea. Look, right? So,
Yeah, yeah.
but
I wonder if Danny would like slapped him if those horns, didn't blow at that particular moment, right? Because even Daenerys was in total self denial here in a way because like, remember she accused Jon of saying, hey, do you really believe your best friend and your brother, told you this story,
oh yeah, she was trying.
she's in total denial here in terms of what's happening. I think because again, she's not focused on the war against the Night King. She's still focused on that darn Iron Throne, and it's really, really, kind of pissing me off a little bit in the way how she's acting a bit. Because it's like, girl, we got like 100,000 whites standing, basically marching to us, and we gotta fend them off. You can't just run away in our dragons. Okay, you have an obligation here to help. So, I don't know. So, anyway, it's great. So, great scene, love it. And definitely is going to have a lot of consequences later on in the season because obviously these two are going to survive. So before I get to my number one, I just want to say thank you for Phantom D Sane for basically linking my Patreon account there. Not many people know I have a Patreon. There's only one tier for $1 a month. And Dawg, you know what I give to people for that $1 a month, right? And what is
Unicorn.
that? What?
Unicorns?
Yeah, the unicorn tier. Remember, with that subscription, you guys would know randomly one day a month.
You get to know what Milt had for dinner.
Exactly. You got it. You get to know what I have for dinner. So there you go. So, all right. Anyway, if you do subscribe, I really would appreciate it. I really appreciate it. And I'll just leave it at that. So my number one is none other than The Future Plans Together or Not, right? By Grey Worm and Missandei, right? It was a really extremely touching scene of these two planning their futures together, right? Look at this scene. In the beginning, you have basically Missandei walking through the gates. She runs into a couple of girls who are obviously racist Northerners, right? Because they all of a sudden just run away from her for no darn reason. And then Missandei and Grey Worm have this touching moment where, she wants to go home, and then Grey Worm says, "I will protect you." In all honesty, Grey Worm is probably just thinking he's a dead man, right? So, and I'm pretty sure Missandei is a dead woman because anytime you have two people saying that anytime you have two people, making plans together, they're both gonna die, right? So, make future plans together. So, thought it was a well done scene, great acting, and there you guys go. Great number. I thought it was a great scene, and it's worthy of number one. But I'm just kidding, you guys.
What?
It's not. It's not that. My number one scene is Watchers on the Wall. Okay, revisited. I thought this was great because it was basically the Night's Watch gang basically back together again, right? And it brings back all these memories of those guys looking out over the wall, into empty space. And instead of being on top of a 700-foot wall, they're only on top of a 50-foot wall at Winterfell, but you still see that sense of nostalgia. You still get that sense of nostalgia of those guys basically looking over the wall, and especially at the end of the conversation, Dolores Ed's words about the last man left burned the rest of us. That's exactly what they were saying at the Fist of the First Men as well. So I thought it was just awesome. Great scene. Brings back a lot of memories and nostalgia for me. I just love those three just being together there because these three are true brothers, right, of the Night's Watch. This is what the Night's Watch was founded for, right? It was against future attacks by the others, or in this case the Night King. And I would just love to get into the head of these guys as they're looking out through the wall. As I just made some snarky comments here. John's probably saying what a really crappy view, right? Because he's short, and the battlements are basically, blocking his view, right? And then, Davos being Davos, right? Yeah, he knows that, everybody's gonna die, especially him. And Sam being Sam, he's just probably wondering if Giddy's awake and warm. So anyway, love the scene, great stuff, and yep, and now our watch begins. So it's, this is it, guys. It's coming down to this. This is what, the Night's Watch was founded for, and I can't wait. Dawg, what do you think?
Oh, yeah, absolutely fantastic. And again, this proves my point again, folks. These guys had no compassion in their hearts for Ghost at all, right? From my first slide here, and Milt just proved it again, right? Look at that. What they're thinking, what they're saying, nothing about Ghost, right? Sam's worried about what's going on with Gilly, things of that nature, right? Ed's worrying about burning people, right?
Yeah.
And all Ghost wants is a treat. That's like, hey guys, can I be part of the group? So,
yeah.
But no, absolutely, Mel, you're right on point here with this scene. It's a nice fallback moment, right? Of showing the true brothers, right? What got us into the series was the guys in the Night's Watch and things of that nature. Now, I'm concerned about obviously two of them, right? With these three, I've got a bad feeling about this, right? With what Ed said. So I love Ed too, man, but I got a bad feeling about Ed. And again, folks, I mentioned this earlier. I'm concerned for Samwell Tarly, especially after he'd given his family sword away to Jorah earlier. We didn't mention that scene quite. I think that might have happened right prior to or after this scene, but
it was afterwards,
Okay, but yeah, I'm concerned for Samwell Tarly as well.
Yeah. I'm not quite as concerned for Samwell, but he really shouldn't have given that sword away. For just for the purpose of self-preservation more than anything else, right? So, but we will see. What will happen here. So, good stuff, and I really enjoyed basically this scene, harkening back to the earlier seasons with these guys on top of the wall. So. Let's go ahead and do our recap, Dawg. So you're up.
Oh, wow. That was it?
Yeah, that was it.
Oh, this was only an hour episode. Okay, yep. So, folks, my number one was what I called Heir to the Throne. John tells Dany he's the boss, really. So he's the big cheese. And number two, Ser Brienne of Tarth. I can say that confidently now. The knighting of Brienne of Tarth. Number three, old friends I called, right? So Jaime and Bran, their parlay in the Godswood was my number three moment. My number four moment was pretty much after the War Council. The council was great too, but the meeting that Bran and Tyrion had, where I think that this kind of might prove that Tyrion is possibly going to be the songwriter after it's all said and done, right? So he listens to Bran's story there. And then my number five was our ghost sighting. We finally got a ghost sighting, folks. And I think Ghost will definitely have a part to play in our next episode, which is going to happen in almost 24 hours here. So, and
maybe they won't use Ghost, as a cardboard box, as a piece of cardboard, like they did in this episode.
Oh, right. Yeah, or like a fathead you put on the wall or something.
Yeah, or maybe like a couple of kids, basically with Ghost on sticks, right? Just kind of moving him up like this. Anyway, yeah, great choices, Dawg. And for my number five, it is we got Davos Seaworth, right, in the soup line meeting Shireen 2.0. Number four was the really touching scene between Sansa and Theon. Basically, Theon's gonna die. So, three, we got the Hound and Arya reuniting, basically just kind of kicking back, having drinks, but not really talking to one another like before. And Barrett coming in there as the third wheel. Two is basically the Night King reveal as to what he wants. Still want to know why he wants what he wants. So, but we will find out hopefully later on. And lastly, number one on my list is Watchers on the Wall. Basically, the scene of John, Dollar's and Sam basically looking over the horizon. You know, just like before, waiting for what's to come and doing their duty as sworn brothers of the Night's Watch. So there you guys have it. That is our top 5 moments of episode 2. And last question of the day, Dog. What is your over under for the number of named character deaths in episode 3 tomorrow?
Ooh, named character deaths tomorrow. 6.
6? Okay, and I'm thinking my over under is gonna be 7. Okay, named character deaths, and that wheel had 25 characters, so we're talking about a 30% haircut in terms of characters after tomorrow. And name your 6. Name your lucky 6.
Oh, I think okay, yep. So Brienne, Grey Worm, Lyanna Mormont, Samwell Tarly. What else am I missing here? Brandon Stark.
Is that 6?
And that's my 5. I need one more.
Okay.
Dolores Udd.
That was it. Okay. So for my 7, okay, it's gonna be Dolores Ed, Grey Worm. Okay, I think Davos Seaworth's gonna get it. Brienne. Okay, then Bran Stark. Arya Stark as the shock death. But she gets resurrected. But she gets resurrected, so she counts as a death. Okay? And Beric Dondarrion. Because he dies via the Kiss of Life. So those are my 7. I think the shock death's going to be Arya.
Now I'm like in the over 6 a little bit now.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean we have close to 25 characters in play here for tomorrow who are going to be exposed to death. So yeah, I mean it's going to be quite a significant haircut in terms of paid actors and actresses. So it's good. It's good for the budget. So and 82 minutes long, evidently. So it's going to be awesome.
What do you real quickly? How you feeling about Gendry?
I think he survives. In fact, I wouldn't put it past Arya to basically knock him out right before the battle, and he'll just sleep right through the battle, somewhere in the forge. You know what I mean? Just to basically save him. I wouldn't even put it past her to do that. It sounds cliche, but I mean that could happen. So
Owen says everyone's gonna die. Everyone.
Yep. I mean, eventually time takes everything. So. And one last question. Who will be the first character that zombie Lyanna Mormont is going to kill? Assuming she dies.
Oh, Sansa.
Okay. I'm thinking zombie Lyanna Mormont, if she is a zombie, will basically go and kill her cousin Jorah. I can see that happening. So anyway. All right. That is all, guys, for this installment of Top 5. Next week is going to be a pretty big show, right? Our Top 5 moments of Episode 3. Saturdays at 6:30 p.m. And glad everybody can make it out here. And let's run off the chat people, why don't we? Fearless Mermaid, Terry T, Game of Theories with Marie, Bubba Husky, Granite Person, Phantom D Saint, Jenny of Coldstone, Cameo, Mary B, Lady Elena Tyrell, Living on a Prayer. What else do we have here? OTDA showed up. And is anybody I'm missing?
Sandra Conklin.
Oh, Sandra Coughlin. Okay.
Mother of Krakens.
And I think the Imagination Realm was in it for a while. Mother of Krakens. Thank you for stopping by.
Peter Griffin, Giggity.
Yeah, Peter Griffin. Okay. And I'm running out of scrolling. Okay, Phil H. Lady Laura Dane and Starfall. And that's it for me, Dog.
I think that's about. We didn't say your name. Now's the time to say, hey, we didn't say your name.
So, if he didn't mention you, sorry, it's not intentional. Either that or somebody hates you. So anyway, that is really about it. So stay tuned again for next week. We'll be on at the same bat channel and the same bat time. And thanks a lot for coming out. And remember, watch Cobra Kai Season 2 if you have a chance. Over and out. Later.